This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. The demonic dragon's soul was connected to his, so it also took on a human form. It said in shock, "Even you can't find them." Could it be that the two flames eroded each other and disappeared? The 5 elements reinforce and counteract each other, Yun Xiao said seriously. If there are 2 attributes of the 5 elements that counteract each other, the situation you mentioned is very likely to happen. But, the power of the 2 flames will not cancel each other out. Moreover, the ice flame is just a tiny flame that came from the rainbow stone, not the power of the original fire. On the other hand, the phoenix divine flame is a wisp of origin flame, so it should be able to devour the opponent directly. This is also the reason why I took the risk to use the phoenix origin flame. The demonic dragon frowned and said, "But the fact is that neither of the 2 flames exist now. Or is the ice flame even higher in rank than the phoenix divine flame? A small flame will be able to extinguish it and also leave a small flame on the stone beast." Yun Xiao shook his head. That's impossible. Even among 10th level true spirits, phoenixes are ranked in the top few. If I'm not wrong, that wisp of original flame might be evolving. Evolution? What? The demonic dragon was shocked. That's already a 10th tier item. It can still evolve? Although I haven't reached the 10th level, Yun Xiao said, since ancient true spirits have different strength levels, they naturally have evolved as well. The reason why I have such a guess is that the Divine Realm Tablet's world power has not weakened, but it seems to be increasing faintly. The power of the divine flame is probably enough to break through the power of an entire world, so even if I'm the owner of this place, I can't spy on its existence as long as it's not willing. Yun Xiao gave the gourd little King Kong another look and said, "The fire seed on the gourd little King Kong's body should be the leftover after the phoenix fire had devoured it to its full capacity. After all, there was only 1 wisp of the original fire, which was too little. If that's the case, doesn't that mean that as long as I can control this ice flame, I can continuously feed it to the true phoenix flame and make it stronger?" The demonic dragon asked with a strange expression. "That should be the case," Yun Xiao said. "But, this rainbow ice flame is too evil and terrifying. If it is the complete power of the original flame, it is indeed possible that it is above the phoenix true flame. How can it be controlled?" In the next moment, his body flickered and he appeared beside Xiao Hong. Xiao Hong was still floating in the air quietly. The light around her body had not weakened at all, like a sleeping princess. However, her aura made Yun Xiao feel an inexplicable fear, and he did not dare to get too close. The Agarine, which the previous Lord of Red Moon City would rather go missing for no reason, and the Rainbow Stone, which the Palace of Dong Hai attached great importance to, would bring about a great change when the 2 were combined. If it were not for the Divine Realm Tablet, Yun Xiao would not have dared to take it. Yun Xiao's expression changed several times before he came out of the Divine Realm Tablet. His main body, which had been regulating his breathing, opened his eyes slightly. A slender jade bottle was suspended in the air, emitting layers of shimmer. The fire phoenix's struggle under it was getting weaker and weaker, and it was gradually being absorbed. Roar! The thunder dragon in the distance roared madly. Circles of lightning poured out crazily and broke through the confinement of the 3 Wei family members in an instant. The 2 elemental creatures had been together for thousands of years. Although they had low intelligence, there was an inexplicable emotion between them. The fire phoenix was about to suffer, and the thunder dragon went berserk without a care. Wei Dongyang's expression suddenly changed and he said angrily, "I can't even trap an elemental." He pointed his finger in the air, and the sword in his hand emitted a brilliant light. The sword light spread out like wings, and the sword chi rushed out like a cold and fierce beast. Roar! The thunder dragon was cut by the sword radiance, and its momentum was immediately weakened. The green color became dim. The fire phoenix, which was about to be sucked into the jade bottle, felt something and flipped its body in the air. Its white body became brighter and the point between its eyebrows became brighter and brighter. "Lord Clan Leader, there's a situation," a member of the Wei family suddenly exclaimed. Wei Dongyang was about to slash the thunder dragon again when he suddenly jolted and turned around. The fire phoenix let out a sorrowful cry, and the flame between its brows suddenly exploded. Its entire body instantly turned into nothingness, and white flames rushed out. Bang! The jade bottle in the sky was the first to bear the brunt and exploded. Wei Dongyang's heart ached, but before he could get angry, white flame rushed over. He held his sword horizontally in front of him in shock and anger, and a sword barrier immediately appeared. Bang! 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 The sound of explosions came from all around. Although Wei Dongyang's barrier did not break, he was directly pushed back dozens of meters by the force. The flames that filled the sky almost burned the entire bottom of the lake into a vacuum. Walala! A large amount of lake water filled the area, and the entire scene was in chaos. All the Wei family members were injured by the fire phoenix's self-destruction. One of them was the closest to the fire and screamed in pain. In the end, there was no sound and he was burned to ashes at the bottom of the lake. Everyone looked terrified. Wei Dongyang was so angry that his body was trembling. Not only had he lost the jade bottle and the life of a martial supreme, but he had also given Shuai Junwei a precious treasure. In the end, he had injured everyone and gained nothing. Under the impact of the flames, the lightning dragon became dim and it let out a sorrowful cry. Yunxiao's eyes shone as he performed an incantation gesture with one hand. The demonic dragon immediately merged with his soul, and his body began to demonize. Powerful soul power spread out, and he teleported away in an instant. Shuai Junwei was greatly shocked. He was so happy to see the Wei family suffer a great loss that he did not notice Yunxiao's condition. Instead, he sensed a powerful spiritual power and found that Yunxiao had already transformed into a demon. After refining the calabash little King Kong, Yunxiao's soul power could not be restored in a short time, so he could only rely on the power of the demonic dragon, which was a 9th-tier dragon soul, and its strength was no higher than Yunxiao's. He conjured a lightning spell with both hands and descended from the sky, trapping the lightning dragon within. The thunder dragon was already an arrow at the end of its flight, so how could it resist? Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, it was directly sucked into Yunxiao's body. This scene fell into everyone's eyes. All the Wei family members looked at each other in a daze, not knowing what they were feeling. Wei Dongyang, on the other hand, was so angry that he was about to explode. They were both collecting elemental spirits, but the results were completely different. His eyes were spewing fire as he stared at Yunxiao, an impulse to rush up and kill him welling up in his heart. Congratulations Lord Yunxiao for successfully obtaining the 9-yin absolute lightning. Congratulations, congratulations. Shuai Junwei's face was full of smiles as he cheered loudly. Then, he sighed and said, "It's a pity that Brother Dongyang's collection wasn't so smooth. It's really a pity." Wei Dongyang's lips moved slightly as if he wanted to say something, but he held back. His expression looked like he was about to cry, making Shuai Junwei feel happy. A Wei family warrior finally couldn't help but say angrily, "Yunxiao, we seriously injured the 9-yin absolute thunder, which is why you took it so easily. You can't take it for yourself." The rest of the Wei family's people also echoed with grief on their faces. One of them said, "We also lost an expert. You didn't contribute anything to the 9-yin absolute lightning, so it should all belong to my Wei family." Wei Dongyang kept nodding his head. Although he didn't express his opinion, he clearly had the same intention. "Do you still have any shame?" Shuai Junwei shouted angrily. "At the beginning, I said that the 9-yin absolute lightning belongs to Lord Yunxiao, and the 8-yin dark fire belongs to you." He looked furious on the surface, but he was actually laughing in his heart, hoping that their relationship with Yunxiao would be completely broken. A warrior snorted coldly and said, "That's what we agreed on before, but in reality, we have to make actual contributions. We, the Wei family, have almost done our best, while Li Yunxiao has done nothing. How can he get the absolute thunder?" Yunxiao's face turned cold as he said, "I didn't say anything because I wanted everyone to work together and help each other, but since you've said so, I have to settle this score with you." He said coldly, if this 9 absolute lightning is taken by me in my peak state, its effect will be 10 times that of its current weakened state. We've already agreed that you guys will take the dark fire and I'll take the absolute lightning, but you guys attacked my 9 absolute lightning dragon and made it extremely weak. It's no longer useful to take it back now, and you still have the face to talk to me about the absolute lightning? Sir Dongyang, can you give me an explanation for this breach of contract? Everyone broke into a cold sweat. In that case, it was the Wei family who owed Yun Xiao. Although it sounded a little outrageous that Yun Xiao would not have been able to obtain the 9 absolute thunder so easily without the people of the Wei family, what he said was reasonable. Since we've reached an agreement from the beginning, what right do you have to touch his things? Shuai Junwei pretended to be shocked and shouted with an exaggerated expression, so that's how it is. Yes, Brother Dongyang, please give Lord Yun Xiao an explanation. Wei Dongyang's anger turned into sweat. Yun Xiao's words were indeed impeccable. They had provoked the Thunder Dragon themselves, so who could they blame? He was extremely unwilling and said, if there weren't people from the Wei family, how could Lord Yun Xiao have easily obtained the absolute lightning? This can be considered a little help, right? Humph. Yun Xiao said, I can't get the absolute thunder without you? Aren't you all overestimating yourselves? All the speculations are just your own wishful thinking, and the fact that you destroyed my Thunder Dragon is an ironclad fact. Sir Dongyang, you're using your guesses to verify the truth. You're bullying me for not reading enough. Wei Dongyang felt dizzy and said angrily, now that we've already fought, what do you want? Shuai Junwei sneered. You can't be reasonable, so you're using brute force? My Shuai family will definitely stand on Lord Yun Xiao's side. Wei Dongyang's body trembled with anger, and killing intent kept appearing in his eyes. If they had fought with the Shuai family from the beginning, they would have had a high chance of winning. Now that they had lost 3 people and all of them were injured, they were completely at a disadvantage and could not fight against the Shuai family. Wei Dongyang suddenly felt that things were getting worse and worse, and he was losing the initiative bit by bit. I'm just thinking that we're all in the same boat, Yun Xiao said coldly. I don't want to do anything. But Sir Dongyang is really disappointing, I just want an explanation now. How do you want me to explain this to you? Wei Dongyang's face was livid. I'm not an unreasonable person, Yun Xiao said. After all, I have to look at the big picture. As long as you apologize to me, Sir Dongyang, I'll be fine. You want me to apologize to you? It's impossible. Wei Dongyang was furious. His side had suffered such heavy losses, losing a few treasures for nothing, and now they had to apologize to the person who had obtained the absolute lightning. How could he swallow this? In that case, I won't force you, Yun Xiao snorted coldly. But I'll part ways with Lord Dongyang now, and we'll get the treasures with our own strength. Shuai Junwei was delighted. At this moment, his Shuai family was the strongest, so he immediately agreed, you're right. It's just that Lord Yun Xiao is too magnanimous. Wei Dongyang's body trembled with anger. He wanted to kill him a few times, but he suppressed it and gritted his teeth. Good, good. Shuai Junwei, Li Yun Xiao, you're ruthless. It's fine if you want to split up, but you better not fall into my hands. He flicked his sleeves on the spot to show his break. Then I wish Brother Dongyang good luck. Shuai Junwei sneered. His eyes flashed with killing intent. Now that the 3 families of the Earth Dragon City had gone to the Qin family, if they could take this opportunity to get rid of the Wei family, then 2 out of the 3 would be gone and the remaining Du family would not be a threat at all. He could travel across cities and extend his influence to the Earth Dragon City, which was much better than any treasure. As he thought about it, killing intent constantly emerged in his heart, and the corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile. Lord Dongyang is in pain, Yun Xiao said indifferently. I'll remember this. I hope nothing bad will happen to you, too. After the 2 families broke off, they immediately divided into 2 distinct factions and stood in front of the tomb. After the dragon and phoenix disappeared, the light in front of the tomb gradually weakened until it disappeared. The scene inside the tomb began to appear clearly in front of everyone's eyes. When they saw the scene inside, everyone was shocked and retreated several steps in horror. The entire tomb was transparent, and one could see what was inside with a single glance. Dozens of people knelt in neat rows on the ground. Not only were there people from the Qin family and the Wei family, but there were also people from the Du family who had never appeared before, as well as some unfamiliar figures who were probably other martial artists who had fallen into this situation. Above these people, there was a flight of stairs that led to the throne. A burly man sat on the throne. His face was clear, and what was even more shocking was that he was in high spirits. His right hand was on a large sword. Suddenly, the scene in the tomb began to fluctuate, like ripples suddenly appearing on a calm lake. The figure in the tomb suddenly became blurry. Not good, quickly retreat. Yunxiao's face flickered. He cried out and hurriedly ran back. A powerful force rushed out of the tomb, causing the entire lake bottom to ripple. By the time the Shuai and Wei family members realized what was going on, they were already surrounded by a dense crowd of people. They were the martial sovereigns who had knelt in the tomb earlier. There were more than 40 of them. Everyone's faces instantly turned pale. The strength of the enemy and their side was completely unequal. Even Wei Qiren's uncle, who had lost an arm when he was dragged into the lake, was among them. He had an evil smile on his face. "Where's Li Yunxiao?" A martial artist from the Shuai family suddenly asked. Yunxiao was the first to react, and he disappeared after taking a step back. At the moment, there were less than 20 people from the two families trapped. "Damn it, he's running so fast." A Wei family warrior gritted his teeth. Wei Dongyang's expression changed slightly, and he said with a livid face, "He must be hiding in the void with the Supreme Yang umbrella." A strange look flashed in his eyes. Suddenly, he raised his hand and a talisman light appeared. Strange golden patterns spread on the Wei family's bodies. Then, their figures slowly faded and finally disappeared at the bottom of the lake. A high-grade invisibility talisman. Shuai Junwei's expression changed drastically. The Yuan Yang umbrella and the high-grade invisibility talisman were extremely powerful, and these possessed people couldn't detect them at all. Sure enough, after the Wei family disappeared, the bewitched martial artists seemed to be on guard. They released their auras and walked towards the Shuai family. There were only 6 people from the Shuai family, and they were surrounded by more than 40 martial emperor powerhouses. They were already shivering all over, and they did not even have the heart to fight. Shuai Junwei was still calm. There were no high-level martial emperor powerhouses among these evil martial sovereigns. With his strength and trump cards, it was not impossible for him to kill his way out. However, his subordinates were afraid of him. He could only take good care of their families. At that moment, Yunxiao's figure suddenly appeared in the sky. Sure enough, he was holding the Supreme Yang umbrella in his hand. The immemorial heavenly eye between his eyebrows suddenly opened, and a powerful thunderbolt shot out into the void. Bang! There was a tremor in the air, as if a fire had started. The space was gradually burned open, and the figures of the Wei family gradually appeared. Their original playful expressions began to turn into wooden chickens. Yunxiao's thunderbolt broke the enemy's high-grade hiding talisman, and then the small red umbrella opened again and disappeared before everyone's eyes. The members of the Wei family were completely dumbfounded. Their mouths were wide open as they looked at the 20-odd martial emperor powerhouses who were charging at them. They could not even get angry. It was not until the fierce attack arrived that Wei Dongyang's hysterical roar was heard, "Li Yunxiao, I swear I'm not a human if I don't kill you." After this roar, the entire tomb fell into an earth-shattering battle. Shuai Junwei was overjoyed. After the Wei family had taken half of the enemies, it was not impossible to turn the tide. He shouted, "Only by fighting to the death will there be a way out." 2 meteor hammers appeared in his hands. They were tied together by iron chains and instantly circled in front of him. They transformed into a nebula and directly smashed the head of the person who was charging at him. Immediately, everyone's morale rose, and they charged forward with bloodshot eyes. Wei Dongyang also took out the sword in his ruler and cut down several people in a row. All of them were pale, and their hatred for Yunxiao had reached an extreme level. Yun Shao stood quietly in the void and watched carefully. Although the men from the Shuai and Wei families were ruthless and killed several people, which seemed to have boosted their morale, the 40-odd people who were possessed were all martial supremes. They suffered great losses with every kill, so they soon fell into a bitter battle. Moreover, there were as many as 3 6-star martial emperors in the group. The advantage was reversed all of a sudden, and the people from 2 clans died on the spot. While Yun Shao was hesitating about how to attack, several beams of light suddenly flew over from the distance. "Everyone, don't panic, we'll help," the person at the front shouted. Just as Shuai Junwei was about to escape, he looked over and saw that it was the Du family. Although there were only 6 of them, they were still very encouraging. "Brother Linling, come and help me," Shuai Junwei shouted in joy. "These ghostly people devoured more than 10 of my clansmen," Du Linling said with towering hatred. "They deserve to die." He held a saber in front of his chest and directly became one with the saber, cutting a path from the outside and killing 3 people in a row. He rushed into the battle, instantly reducing the pressure on the Shuai family and rousing them. Wei Dongyang also shouted from a distance, "Brother Linling, please help me quickly." Du Linling's eyes were spitting fire as he said coldly, "Wei Dongyang, if it wasn't for the problem with the information you gave us, how could our Du family fall into such a situation?" "No." Wei Dongyang panicked and said, "Brother Linling, you've misunderstood. This place is too strange. It changes so fast that the information is unreliable. We have our own people who are possessed." "Humph. In short, you, Wei Dongyang, are definitely not a good person." Du Linling ignored him and joined forces with the Shuai family to resist the enemy. The situation instantly changed. Du Linling wasn't a kind person either. He only cared about his own interests. If the Shuai and Wei families were destroyed, they would be in danger. They were afraid that they wouldn't be able to get out of the lake. Wei Dongyang was in the same city as him, so he naturally helped the Shuai family. After observing for a while, Yun Shao found a problem. Although these possessed people seemed to be conscious and had endless martial arts techniques, they did not know how to take pills. Logically speaking, they should have brought a lot of medicinal pills with them, but no matter how weak their origin power was, they had never seen anyone take any. Meanwhile, the people of the 3 clans were eating medicinal pills like they were beans, and it seemed that they could still hold on for a while. Yun Shao cast his eyes into the tomb. The man on the throne was still sitting there, his eyes not only bright and full of spirit, but also shining with an extremely strange light. The bewitchment of these people should be related to this man. Could this person be Yu Yixian? Then was he dead or not? A strange feeling welled up in Yun Xiao's heart. Although it looked lifelike, his intuition told him that it was a dead person inside. But why was he still able to stir up such strange waves after his death? Yun Xiao pondered for a while, then finally stepped into the air and walked toward the tomb. He only stopped in front of the hall's door, his expression turning grave. This was because there was a strange energy coming from within that made him feel an extreme sense of danger. Moreover, this feeling seemed somewhat familiar. What was this feeling? Yun Xiao raised his foot and was about to step into the tomb when he suddenly felt a chill in his heart, and a sense of fear gushed out of him, causing him to quickly withdraw. All of a sudden, the treasured sword beside Yu Yixian, which was stuck in the ground, flashed and an unparalleled sword essence attacked. Bang! Yun Xiao did not have time to dodge, so he slashed at the little red umbrella. The invisibility power was broken in an instant, and his figure emerged with a horrified look on his face. The sword's consciousness was extremely powerful. It was at least a high-level martial supreme. But what was going on with this sword? If the real Yu Yixian had attacked, he would not have only had this much power. But if it was not him, who could have slashed out the sword intent? Yun Xiao's face was unusually serious, and he became extremely vigilant. The experts who had besieged the 3 aristocratic families outside the hall immediately noticed Yun Xiao, and several figures rushed over in surprise and anger.